Welcome to Holding Space. Michael Zinn is a visual producer and creative photographer using his imaginative visionary energy to channel Zinn and hold space for spiritual and innovative discussion. Each episode creates a supportive, accepting, and open environment that allows exploration and expertise to come together with engaging and entertaining convergence. With guest and community all helping the shape of the way, Michael is grateful to be together to hold space. Now here is your host of Holding Space, Michael Zinn.
Yes, here I am once again holding space. Holding space for me, holding space for you, whoever might be here. Thank you for being here. You have arrived at the broadcast. It's Tuesday night. It's April 22nd. We've agreed collectively to call it that so we could all show up. So thank you guys for showing up and knowing when I'm going to be here. I actually see a bunch of people out there in the audience today. I see Bernadette. Hello, Bernadette. I see CJ. I see Arnie Layton. I see Helen Wagner. I see Crick. I see the Quiet Healer. I see Michael Christopher. Wow, what a bunch of great energy I've already collected. I haven't even started. That's awesome. I do appreciate it, guys. This is a place where I get to open my heart and let you guys in, and I get to talk with an amazing guest. I'm super excited. I have an old friend on tonight. I also see some new people showing up. December Hill and Tim Lawrence and Anne. Thank you. New on my page. Thank you. If you guys are here, I appreciate you commenting already. If you haven't commented, hashtag live lets the algorithm know that somebody's there, tickling the algorithm, looking at the content. So that always helps me. If you're watching the replay, if it's not Tuesday, April 22nd, type in hashtag replay. This way I can come back later and see that you've been here. While I'm taking care of business, I want to thank the Sacred Spiral Network for holding space for me, for allowing me to hold space here on their network. Kelly Brickle is doing an amazing job putting together a bunch of shows with really gifted people, talented people, passionate people, psychic mediums, paranormal investigations, really interesting stuff on the network happening. So if you're not familiar, check it out, the Sacred Spiral Network. If you are familiar, buckle up, because we're in for a good one tonight. I have an old friend of mine, Wendy Gale, who also happens to be a trans channel and channels Metatron, which is always such an amazing, energizing experience whenever I have it. So I'm super excited for the possibility of that tonight. And I see Brian also out there, and Dupre. Wow, we are filling up the house tonight. I don't know if I have any more room. Tell your friends to come on in, but tell them they might have to stand in the back. I just want to open up the space as I have been doing. If you've been here following along, I recently got this amazing singing bowl, and I really connect to it. I picked it up in the store. I started ringing it and rubbing it, and it got so loud that somebody came in from the next room and said, my eyes started tearing. And I just love the connection I have with this bowl. Sometimes I can hear it just ringing in response to my voice. I don't know if it's doing that now. Maybe just a little. But let's just open up the space. So if you guys wouldn't mind with me, just take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel it come in through your nose. Let the sound vibrate and continue to ring. Oh, I love it so much, the frequency. You can feel it. It's an energy, sound energy. I've been so obsessed with it lately. And before I put this down, let me go and also change my audio settings so that my will not be echoing. So now you probably got a little bit of a change of a volume, but hopefully everybody can adjust and we'll all settle into the space together. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you guys somebody who I know and love very dearly because, again, like I said, the energy is off the charts. It's funny, I was remembering being like a 10-year-old kid and telling my parents, as far as like people go, like, I go by vibe. I didn't know what the heck I was saying, but I knew at 10 years old what vibration was and that people carry a certain energy. And this woman carries an amazing energy. So I'm very excited. Welcome to Holding Space. When you get, how you doing?
Hi, Michael. Thank you for welcoming me today.
Oh,
Was-
you're welcome to be
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm looking forward to it all day.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to this too. I actually want to get your website into my messages here, and I forgot to type it into the bottom. So let me just copy and paste this real quick. Uh, Wendy, I do want to kind of take it back a little bit. I know my live stream of consciousness audience knows who you are and has experienced you before, but maybe some of the people here in the Sacred Spiral Network haven't. Um, and I know that they have a lot of psychic mediums and paranormal phenomenon on the network, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody who was doing trans channeling on their network. So I would love for you to tell us your story of how you became a trans channel, what it is, and how you got there.
Okay. Well, trance channeling is just one form of channeling. There's several different layers to the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to channel about 35 years ago. One of my
Wow.
mentors taught me to channel. I was not interested in it in the moment
Mm-hmm.
because it was all about the healing. And it has really infiltrated my life in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so the the journey of becoming an unconscious full body trance channel is a journey of surrender,
Mm-hmm.
of letting go of my beta mind, having at least some ego mastery, and practice to the point where I can bring guidance in and step way into the background. So I am not really conscious of what's being spoken. Sometimes I'll get a little flavor of what's going on, but usually not specifics.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's been just amazing. And I love teaching people to channel. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love the idea. This is why I'm so into this kind of world of energy, because I feel like it is something that we're all privy to. But some people just are, some people might find something that works for them. It's just like exercising in the gym, right? You need to exercise muscles to have them get more proficient at whatever they're supposed to be doing, right? So,
Yeah.
like intuition is a muscle. And I think, sometimes people may come across it and have sense of their own intuition, but then when they exercise it and they practice it, they become really really good at it, and that's what you've done. Like you just said, you're able to kind of tune into this frequency of Metatron,
Yes.
and then actually allow yourself to kind of back away from the energy and allow the energy to kind of come through you. I think that's where I'm kind of at, right, in my journey, is being aware that I'm struggling with that letting go, right? That
Yeah.
last piece of letting go, and being able to have that energy come through me, which is fine. It's not like a bad struggle. You know what I mean? It's actually really good. I feel really good to be aware of it,
Yeah.
especially knowing so many people who do it, and feeling so kind of connected to it. It's not something I think that mainstream ideals accept so easily, right? It takes a little bit of a stretch to accept it as something real and valid, and uh you know uh
And yet we're all channels, right?
and yet we're all channels, right?
It's a channel, right?
And what's amazing about that for me, for me, learning about this stuff, right, and seeing it presented as a trans channel, which is kind of what you're doing when you're bringing through another entity or another being, versus channeling on a day-to-day basis
Mhm.
in something that you love to do, right? So Bashar, some people are familiar with Bashar, talks about that all the time. But when let's say you enjoy cooking, when you're cooking, you're in that moment. You're
Right.
not thinking of anything else. You are, I think, the most fine-tuned energy at that point, because being in the moment is, I think, when you are actually in tune with the universe.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not like in another moment in your head, in the past, in the future. You're present with anything that's happening, and cooking and playing music and being an artist,
Yeah.
you know, drawing and writing. And it's funny because I've been thinking about this, giving somebody a massage. That's art, that's creation, that's something that you can tune into that moment and just be that vessel for giving that massage. And that's what's so cool, is that everybody's different.
Right.
Some people love to give a massage, some people love to get a massage. I'm going to go with the later group. uh, but
That's,
but that's how it works, right? That's how
yeah.
that energy exchange works, and that balance that we find.
Yeah, that was one of my first healing modalities. I became a massage therapist, learned
Mm,
about the body, and after learning about the body, I began to learn about energy, and then learned that I could see and feel and know what was going on inside the body. I mean, it just, it all opens up. It
yeah,
all opens up when you
yeah.
kind of find the sweet spot, right?
Yeah, yeah, it really does, and I'm very blessed and grateful to be surrounded by a community of people who are in that place, especially today in the world, right? We have a global kind of situation going on where I think people have been kind of separated from that connection that we have naturally with energy, and kind of, without getting too much into the world and all of this other stuff, like, you know, we've been kind of lulled into this routine. And I think that we're in a place right now where a lot of people are waking up to their own relationship with energy
Right.
and understanding it more, like that aha moment of, oh my god, now I'm feeling through the moment. You know, with my intuition, with my sense, I'm feeling the energy of the moment.
Yeah.
um, which
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm here. I think that's what this show is about. I think that's what these conversations are about, right? So that other people can see you and be like, oh, wait a second, I've experienced that, you know, moment. Maybe I'm channeling and I don't know it, and for them to open up to the idea that they might want to explore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have that attitude. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Right.
Right.
It's kind of that thing.
Right.
And and then that other piece is you're never too old to
Yes.
to start,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even start my journey until I was 40. So
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Um, and it looks like I'm already getting questions about Metatron. So ask Metatron. We're not talking to Metatron quite yet, but Wendy, you might know. Does Metatron get his information, his orders from God? What's the purpose of Metatron? Which is actually a good question, Angelo. So
that's a really great question.
let's define Metatron for people who might not
Okay.
be familiar.
So many people think of him as an archangel. The information that he shared with me is a little bit different, and he says that when Source decided to experience form, that Metatron was the first thing created, and he is the sacred geometry in all things.
Mhm, mhm,
And along with that, he talks about how he is in direct alignment with God, direct alignment with Source. So
mhm,
I would say that yes, indeed, that is his boss, right? God's his boss,
mhm,
and he is acting as a bridge or a mediator between us, the human, and source or God, bringing information, bringing healing, wisdom,
Mhm.
yeah, and humor. He's kind of
Yes,
funny.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do know that. I do know that. Um, awesome. And so you said that you've been doing it for 35 years, which is, again, I feel like in the scope of the mainstream, I don't think it's been in the public eye for nearly that long. I'm thinking it's only the last couple of years that that's become mainstream. And I mentioned Bashar because
yeah,
I feel like Bashar is probably one of the most well known trans channels. But it's interesting because when I mention Bashar, a lot of times people are like, who, what are you talking about? And for me, because of the community I'm in and what I do, I'm very familiar with it, but
yeah,
there are people who aren't, and so it still needs to, I think, spread a little bit more into the mainstream ideas of people kind of understanding,
right.
um, the ideas of
And
energy and channeling. And
yeah, and I think that if people really understood what it is,
Mhm,
that they would recognize where they're channeling all the time. On a daily basis, you get great ideas, inspired, you
mhm,
know, feelings and information, or you get a gut feeling, and all of that is part of the channeling process,
mhm, mhm.
right? The other part of the channeling process is the connection between you and source, you and your guidance, and everybody has that available to them. So no one is lacking in anything that they need to be able to be uh, clear and open channel. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I agree with that, and I love the idea. I love the idea that people are actually now teaching other people to channel. For me, it's always been the psychic mediums who, one of the first things they say is, hey, I'm not special, anybody can do this.
right,
That indicates the authenticity to me. You know what I mean? Because they're not coming from the ego, they're coming from the heart, and
right,
they're coming from this place of, I want to raise the vibration for everybody, and I know that if I help you tap into your intuition, that's only going to help me
right.
collectively, right?
Right,
So
absolutely. And to keep us humble, Metatron calls us the divine garden hose, right? we are the we are the hose through which spirit moves. And
that's
so,
great.
it's
That's
hard to
great.
get a big head when you think about
To
yourself
keep
as the
to keep
divine
you
garden
humble.
hose.
I love that. That's great. And oh, I want to say hello to Jody Jenkins. I see Jody Jenkins in South Wales, and I also see Rosa in South Africa. So I'm just so grateful that we're attracting people from all around the globe to this moment. Thank you guys for being here. I'm super excited to be talking to Wendy about Metatron, about the idea of energy, about the idea of connecting to source, and how it's something that we all can do. I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so the other thing that I love about trans channeling for the most part, and this is kind of also kind of my gauge for the authenticity of it, is the messages that come through. And inevitably, uh the messages that I see come through are all encouraging messages of hope and love. I think they're also messages of um, encouragement for people to go inward to look for the answers, right? So it's an interesting thing because here you are listening to something that's coming from the outside, but it's telling you you don't need to be listening to me. You know what I mean? Go inside and find yourself.
right.
And
Yeah,
I've been on this really interesting kick of you are the answer to the questions you've been asking, right? So everybody is like, why am I here? Why am I here? And the answer is different for everybody. The answer for everybody is you. You're the answer to that question
yeah,
in your own inception.
right,
um,
right.
whatever it is you love to do and lights you up, like Bashar says, that's why you're here, and that's where you should be going and focusing.
Mhm.
you know um So I love that. And I know for me, and I don't know if I had this conversation with you. I think I did. But I had recently an experience that I would call a download, where just I got some information, right? And suddenly I had this weird understanding that of something that I didn't understand it, but I had it. I had it. And that was that base reality is in imagination. That's where reality starts, in thought, right? And where was I going with that? Why was I bringing that up? Oh my goodness, I lost my train. I guess I feel like, we're all the architects of who we are and how our world can be. And I think that we're fed so many things, so many conditions, we're shown so many ways to exist that aren't really the right way to exist, that we end up kind of losing our way. And so I guess what I love about channels coming through is that message of encouragement. That's what I was kind of talking about, of you have everything you need. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying everybody, whoever's listening to these words, right? Everybody has everything they need inside them. I think it's the act and the idea of feeling like I've got to find something outside that is so distracting.
Yeah.
And
I've actually shifted the way I teach channeling, because I used to teach it was all outside, because it's easier to feel guidance outside of ourselves. When we're going inward to look for guidance inside, it's a little bit more difficult to feel. So I'm starting people outside briefly, and then helping them to integrate it so that they are tapping into their own sovereign connection with
Yes,
spirit. And
that's
that's so important.
amazing. And the thing I think that's important to understand is that it's not going to be the same for any two people, right? It might be similar, but it's an individual experience. I'm getting a lot of great comments. Jody is learning to connect the downloads with what it means personally. That's where she's at the moment, and that's perfect. You got it. That's it. The hardest part of teaching and learning how to connect is the words spoken, being purse. I'm not sure what that means, Helen. It's a journey for sure. Absolutely. Something I've been seeing lately, Jody Jenkins says, I burnt my hand and hurt my eye in the same day, both the left side. I'm sure I'm being told something. And it's that mentality, that mindset of, okay, be aware of everything that's happening. The universe, things are happening for a reason all around you. And I love that people are starting to get that, right? Like, oh, something happened to me, I think it means something, and it usually does.
It all means something. You and I've had conversations about the cosmic boot, right? How spirit will nudge us, and if we aren't listening or we're missing the message, then the next nudge is a little bit more
Right, it's
nudgy.
a little more nudgy, right? Correct.
Until something happens to really get our attention. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah. And Arnie says, not only going within, most important is trusting what you're getting from within.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
that's one of the toughest things. I'm teaching a class and I ask people, do you trust yourself? And most people are like, no, most people don't trust themselves. That's a tough one.
It is definitely a tough one. It is a tough one. And I'm having a weird moment right now, Wendy, because I have to use the bathroom.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you to take over for a second.
Sure.
Sure. If you don't mind.
I don't mind just letting everybody know that I will have to put on glasses if I'm going to read anything that you're writing to me.
Okay. That's great.
Does anybody have a question?
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
And again, if you want to, let people know how a little bit of your story, like how it started, what it felt like, that kind of thing as well. I'll be right.
So my story started when I had a walk-in experience. So my story is a little bit unique, and I channeled a lot of different guidance before Metatron showed up. And I think that who we are connecting with in the unseen is resonant with our own vibrational frequency. So Metatron didn't show up until like 2008. And he and I have had a pretty close relationship since then. He's my teacher. He teaches me. He gives me lessons. He brings understanding so that I can kind of unravel it and then share it with other people. So it's really cool. We have a what I call a human type of a relationship, even though he's not human in any way, shape, or form. And he's brilliant. He seems to always understand exactly what's needed, not only for me, but for other people as well. So he has been touching lives, and I am grateful to be able to serve as his channel, or one of his channels, right? Because there's brilliant Metatron channels all the way across the planet, and each one of us brings a different thread, a different flavor, a different body of work, because of our own inside jobs, right? So anyway, anything that you guys need. I think that when Michael comes back, I will bring Metatron through. I don't
Oh,
know if anybody can feel him nudging or not.
nice. I'm so sorry about that. But you know what's interesting is I knew who I was leaving my audience with, and I felt comfortable leaving you alone. I know that you have experience. You weren't going to be like, "Oh my God, what do I say?"
Wendy monologue.
What I'm wondering is if I missed anything, because I know everything happens for a reason. So there was a reason that I was meant to let you talk by yourself. Did you say anything that I missed?
I don't know. Was
Not specifically.
did it hit any spots for people that are listening? Sometimes that's
I see Jody's asking. Jody, I try to click a question and another one pops up. Can you remember how you first connected with Metatron?
I do. I actually connected with him long before he showed up in my space. And in my meditations, I would see all my guidance lined up like they were lined up on either side of a street. And at the very end, I saw this massive energy. And you always want to know who's that, right? But that is, I wasn't given any information at all. And the more I grew, the more I grounded myself in my own intuition and journey and channeling.
Right.
He stepped forward, and it was just kind of just one day. I was with my teacher, my mentor, and he said, okay. He stepped forward and said hi.
Mm.
And it was that odd voice and accent that he has right off the top, right?
Yeah.
So
And
but
have you done that? Had that happened to you before? Had you changed your tone and your accent and like
no,
your essence wasn't your essence? It was somebody else's essence coming through.
it was pretty much my voice. Sometimes it'd be a little higher, lower, depending on the guidance. When he came through, he shifted everything. And the purposeful good behind that is so that I can recognize his voice from my own mind chatter, from all the things that I have going on in my head. And so I can identify what is spirit and what is my own beta mind. So so it's a gift for me and lots of people after they hear him, Michael. You know this, that every time they think of Metatron or connect with him, because he's available to everyone, right? They'll kind of hear that voice, and they'll know, there he is.
Right. Interesting. Yes, and I have actually spoken to other people who channel Metatron and had conversations with Metatron through other people. And I don't remember if the accent was the same or not, but for me, it's a very energetic thing,
Mhm.
right? It's just an energetic thing. It's like I'm not even necessarily, I mean, I guess I'm aware that, oh, there's this different accent and kind of this different essence there, but it's just energy to me. It's just
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
connecting with the
yeah,
energy,
yeah. He,
So
he always says that what is being spoken through my physical frame is only a small percentage of what's really happening on a greater scale.
mm,
That if people are attuned, they'll feel that energy in their space,
mhm,
and he, brings healing for those that are open to it, and just, all
yeah.
types of things going on in the background. So
Yeah, I think that's the key. What you just said, and I think that's the key with a lot of spiritual modalities is if you're open to it, right? You've really got to allow yourself to. I don't even want to call it suspend belief because some of the experiences I've had and some of the information that I sense, it's like a knowing. It's not
Mhm.
it's just there, right? It's just there, and I don't think there's any sort of what's the right word, I don't want to say discrepancy. It's you don't question it because you just feel it. It's like that's kind of part of one of its attributes is that you don't question it, right? Because it just feels so real to you and so right that you just know. You're just like, okay, that's
And and when I listen to other channels, that's what I'm looking for. I have my tells. We all have our tells for feeling energy. And if someone's channeling and my tells haven't been triggered, I'm always kind of sitting back and saying, okay, what's really happening. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah.
And Helen says, yes, no words, just knowing. Words water it all down. And I do find that often. I do find language and the three-dimensional tools that we're given to express in three dimensions are limited, especially when you do have a connection to a non-physical realm, right? That's not
Right,
three-dimensional. It's like how do you discuss other dimensions in a specific dimension, right? It's like it's very
right, right.
it's a conundrum.
It's challenging, and really the only thing that limits us is our ability to believe or to understand or to imagine.
Mhm.
I think that if we can begin to imagine the greater things, that and there's going to be so much stuff coming, so much information coming
Totally. And
that.
that's exactly what I said. Like imagine, you just used the word imagine, right?
um,
Like so I've been watching a lot of stuff, right? And I watch a mixture of spiritual information and spiritual based stuff and scientific based stuff. So what's so great for me right now, this moment, is that crossover that's happening between quantum physics and quantum theory and mechanics and spirituality. And I just kind of watched this one thing talking about how it's like almost evidence of God, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because how can you think of God and God is everywhere? Well, how can that be? Well, quantum physics is starting to reveal certain things about the nature of the universe, and it's very, very exciting. It's very,
It
very
is, it is very exciting. It is. We're going to be surprising ourselves as a collective, I think.
yes. I think so too. I think so too. And I don't think it's as bleak as uh, a lot of people might think it is. Um, and I'm happy to think that.
Right. Well,
It's
when I get triggered, Metatron always says, "Bless what you judge. Bless what you judge. Bless what
that's
you
it.
judge."
That's it.
And that goes for blessing myself when I'm judging myself. But there's that place of deep understanding that it's all in
Mhm.
divine order, no matter what it looks like, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
tough sometimes. Right?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. It's hard to be intellectual sometimes, and like use your brain and think. Oh, here's a great question. Brolic is saying, how do you learn to discern? I think that's a great question for
Right.
this current moment,
Oh,
right?
I love
Because
that. I love
I
that.
that's a challenge to me every day. I feel like I'm asking myself that question, like, how do I know that what I'm looking at is real? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that
Yeah.
question.
Before every event that I do, I always ask people to use their discernment, right? And we have an inner barometer, right, for what lands and what feels off.
Hmm.
And so that to me is the easiest way to describe discernment.
Hmm.
If it feels right, if it feels in alignment, and you can breathe with it, then take the information. If it doesn't, then leave it.
Hmm.
And you can speak to a whole room full of people, and half the room will feel that it fits, and half the room will feel that it doesn't, right?
Hmm.
And that has no, you know it's neither right nor wrong,
Right.
because your discernment is your discernment. What
That's right.
you believe, your truth, is more important than anything that Metatron will say, anything that Wendy will say.
Hmm.
Your sovereignty
Hmm.
is the key to your discernment, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was saying too. I think the idea that everybody is unique, and that discernment, right? That decision of what's true and what's not, even though two people may not agree on what's true and what's not, it is true, right? For each one of them, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
you know,
and
I mean,
and we're seeing that in the world right now. There's one truth and there's another truth, and there's
mhm,
everybody's trying to bring right and wrong into it, but
mhm,
the understanding is more vibrational. It's, what is your truth? Standing in your own truth, no
mhm,
matter who else stands there with you or not, right?
right, totally.
It's hard sometimes, but that's an important part of our journey, right?
Totally. It totally is. Totally. And we're getting a lot of people out there who agree to thy own self be true. Arnie said, like Cinderella, if the shoe fits.
Brian's here. Hi, Brian.
Yes.
That's
Uh,
that's the one that's the one name I could actually see on the screen.
awesome. Awesome.
Because I'm familiar with it.
I just took a glance at the clock, and we're past the halfway mark. Do we feel like Metatron is gonna come through tonight?
Oh yes. All I have to do is ask. That's all any of you have to do is ask.
I love it.
Invite, inquire. So I'll go ahead with my process. It
Okay.
takes just a moment.
Awesome. And I think everybody, if you want to join in, and I think for me, the best way to receive this is to relax into it, deep breaths, focus on your breath, and kind of get yourself into the calm state that Wendy's getting into.
All right. Good day to you.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
We are always well, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm super excited at the surge of energy I felt as you came in. It's wonderful to see you again. Thank you for being here and sharing your presence with my audience.
It is our pleasure to be here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
Always,
it. Um,
always.
I think you know, we've spoken on my other show, but this is a new place, a new audience, and a lot of people are curious about what you sound like, so they're hearing you for the first time now, and what that experience is like, and also asking about any sort of, you know, messages you might have for the collective
Yeah.
in this moment. It's a pretty cool
Yeah.
moment.
The the greatest thing that you can do for yourselves at this time is to become the embodiment of living light.
Mm,
And that may sound daunting, but the truth of the matter is that when you reach your uh, imagination, when you reach your heart up into source and invite that living light down through your field and through your physical body, you are anchoring something beautiful.
mm,
You are anchoring light in such a way that you make a difference on this planet. You make a difference to the collective. And so many people are worried about what is my path? What should I be doing? Right? Well, begin with being that embodiment of living light, right? You will then notice that your vibrational field shifts, that your psychic awarenesses open. You will notice that you're more in tune at all times, right?
mhm,
And it doesn't take a lot.
mhm,
It doesn't take a lot to be in alignment with that light. Some awareness, some time each day to be grateful for the connection, and to know that when you call, when you ask, it is given every single time.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
So that is one of the most important things in everyone's life today,
Yeah.
to be that embodiment of
Right.
living light. Yeah.
So I'm hearing, when you say that, I'm hearing the word intention.
Mhm.
Uh, that
Yeah.
that's what I think people need to put into their energy, right? So okay, this is what my intention is, and to be very true to that intention,
Mhm.
and what's the word I'm looking for? Pure, just not pure, just connected to that.
Integral, have integrity with the
Yes,
intention, right?
yes, exactly,
And
exactly.
what and integrity looks different for everyone as well, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Some people uh you know, find that they are no longer to able to consume alcoholic beverages, and that's their level of integrity. Other people can consume it and do just fine with their connection.
hmm,
So it is different for everyone, and your journey, please, beloved ones, do not base your journey on what you're seeing in someone else. No comparison, please.
hmm, hmm,
Please, because you are a unique thread of source,
hmm, hmm.
and you are worthy and you are loved beyond measure. So don't worry about what someone else is doing or how they are doing it.
Mhm,
Allow yourself to have your own experience, right?
mhm,
It will
mhm.
change you from the inside out.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. One of the audience, Bernadette, is asking if you would field questions. Can my audience ask you some questions?
Yes, Bernadette is always welcome to ask us questions.
Bernadette, fire away. You know, you have an amazing entity here. Uh, with amazing wisdom. Kristen is saying, right, you cannot compare your gifts, only be inspired. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful insight. And I know for me, that was one of the keys that opened the door to a much happier existence for me, right? Was to stop comparing myself to anything else and to realize one of my most great moments was the realization of not the realization of, oh, I can't be anybody else, right? Like sometimes you want to be somebody else. Oh, I want to be that person. But the realization that nobody could be me
Yeah.
was set me free, like, amazingly,
Yeah.
and the fact that nobody can be me makes me totally all right that I can't be anybody else. I don't want to be anybody else at that point because nobody can be me.
We love that. We
Yeah,
love that.
I do love that. I do love that. So Bernadette's question is, she asks, I saw an angel, who was it, and why did I see it in the shape I did? And without revealing too much about what that was, I guess that's
Right.
she wants to
So
know what it meant.
you saw an angel and it wasn't in the expected shape.
Mhm,
That's the thing about expectations, right?
mhm, mhm,
And the what we're hearing is that there are some angelic beings that when they show themselves, they really take the form, the wings, the whole kit and caboodle, right?
mhm, mhm,
There are some angelic beings that come just in the form of energy.
mhm,
Some of them come in circular form. Some come in triangular shape.
mhm,
It
mhm,
depends on who they are, where they're coming from, and what they're trying to share with the individual that they are showing themselves to.
mhm,
Right?
mhm,
We
mhm,
tend to make ourselves accessible through our shape, through our speech, through our voice, so that anyone who connects, and this is across the board with guidance, right? That
mhm,
there's a comfort level, a
mhm, mhm.
place to connect.
True.
Right? Some people can connect with the beautiful wings of an angel, and others connect to what would be a circular pattern.
Right.
Right? It's
Right.
all about the vibration as opposed to the form.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Absolutely. No, that's a great answer. And again, you're kind of going back to that idea of each of us being an individual experience, right? And we're supposed to be that individual experience. We're not supposed to necessarily experience the same thing that somebody else has experienced. And I think another part of that is sharing the experience,
Yeah,
right? So that we all can grow together from that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And
very good.
sharing the experiences sometimes can be challenging, and we know this for the people that are listening because you don't always have people in your lives that understand
Mhm.
what it is that you're seeing and experiencing.
Mhm.
So find a safe space like this with Michael, right?
Right.
To share what it is that is going on for you.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Angelo, that's an interesting question, Angelo. Angelo is asking if St. Michael bows to Metatron. I guess that's a question about angelic hierarchy,
Yeah,
possibly. I'm trying to interpret
yeah,
that.
yeah. So we are not uh, in alignment with that understanding that there is a hierarchy.
Mhm,
It's all God.
mhm,
Are there parts of God that are greater than other parts of God? No, it's all God. So Metatron is God, Michael is God.
mhm,
And so when we uh, separate into our individual threads, that does not make us any less God,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So there is a co-creation, a communion, a a working together for the highest good that happens. We're
Mhm.
not worried about, who's the boss and who's taking out the trash. That is
Mhm.
not what it is about,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Every single angelic being has more than one piece of wisdom, more than one piece of teaching. They are dynamic beings, each and every one of them, right?
Mhm.
Whether it is Michael, Metatron, or someone that you might consider lower on the totem pole, it does not happen that way.
Mhm. 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 Absolutely, I agree with that, and I guess that's so. You're making me think, right? And what I'm thinking is about frequency, and about how you're appearing to us right now is the idea of Wendy, your channel, tuning to that frequency
Yeah.
and allowing you to kind of come through and broadcast using her vessel.
Right.
Um, I guess my question is, and it's not really a question, because I feel like I know this, right? And that is that there is a part of me that is tuned to that frequency of you, um, and I can access it,
Yes.
and I just need to be able to let go, and I need to ask. I need to be able to once I tune to that frequency, let go to allow it to flow through.
Yeah.
Do you have my? So I guess there is a question there. My question is, how what would you recommend for people to do in order to start to shift towards that
Okay.
ability and that vibration?
Well, the first thing to understand is you're not limited in any way in who you can or cannot contact,
Hmm.
right? And it begins with that intention. If you intend or desire to connect with Metatron or Archangel Michael or any ascended master, you sit down and you get quiet and you ask, will you join me? Will you step forward? Will you bring me a message?
Hmm.
Show me what you have for me today.
Hmm. Hmm.
All of those kind of questions, right? The show me questions are really great because it helps to take the ego out of the process. The
Hmm.
why questions are tough,
Hmm.
right? Because there's the why. That usually is connected to the ego. But show
Hmm.
me how this is important.
Hmm.
Show me what our connection is. Saint Germain. There's somebody here who was connected to Saint Germain.
Hmm.
And the key to understand is that when Metatron leaves this channel's body, we don't go anyplace because there's no place to go,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can call upon any guide, and it is our guarantee to you that we will show up, whether you feel us or not, whether you uh, you know, get a message or not. You call, we show up
Right.
each and every time.
Right.
Right?
Interesting. Interesting.
And
And I think
we are not just one place at the time. We are, you know,
everywhere. Yeah.
everywhere all the
Yeah.
time. Right?
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Brian's asking a good question. I think you started to answer this. Do the angels have specific things that they oversee? So you started talking about no hierarchy, but I do believe that, like you said, Metatron is a representation of sacred geometry, right?
Right.
The
Right.
first, the first whispers, or I guess
Yeah.
iterations of reality, right, of existence.
Yeah. And so when you are connecting with other guides, angels, galactic beings, everyone has a purpose, just like every human being has a purpose,
Mhm.
right? Now, you might be really good at something, like Michael is the great protector. You can call upon Michael for protection, and he's really great at that. But
Mhm.
that's not all he does,
Right.
right? He is also, you know, overseeing the ferrying of new souls into this world, and many other things. So yes, you know some of these beings by mm, what has been taught to you or told to you by others,
Hmm.
but we encourage you that if you're particularly drawn to a certain being, then talk to them,
Hmm.
right? Say, okay, I've heard all of this stuff. What's the real truth? That
Right.
is how we brought the information to our channel, right? She was like, she was reading all of these contradictory things, and she finally said, Metatron, what's the truth?
Right.
Right? And
Right.
so everyone has the ability to do that,
Hmm.
right? To ask guidance, tell me more about you.
Right.
If you're making a relationship with a guide, making a relationship with anyone, that's one of the first things you do. Tell me about you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Tell me
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. And uh, I'm kind of getting a little bit of validation from you, Metatron, in that people ask me because I'm interested in these things about spirituality. Angelo, you see Angelo, who's very inquisitive. You
Mhm.
know, one of his original questions to me was, "What is the violet flame real?"
Yes.
What I loved about that interaction and that energy exchange is he allowed me to reach into myself and give him the answer, and the answer was, does it feel real to you?
Mhm.
Because if it does, then it's real.
Right.
And
That's discernment, right?
right, and that was like, again, it was like I appreciated that question, even though I was like, well, that's kind of silly, but I was like, wait a second, you just allowed me to channel the information, the
Yes.
answer, which is
Yes.
it's real if you believe it, right? and
Yes.
and and i
Yes.
i think that's the bottom line answer to everything, and even what you said about discernment, right? It's like,
Right.
if that's what you feel, then that is your truth,
Yeah.
and go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay for truth to change. Sometimes you'll gather other information along the path and it will make you rethink some of the things that you thought were so true. And that's growth,
Mhm, mhm.
right? That's receiving a greater abundance of wisdom and light when you're able to do that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. And Angelo is saying, he's realizing maybe he doesn't bow, but he has much respect for Metatron.
Ah,
There you go. And I think what I got from what you said, Metatron, there was, it's a team, right? We're all on the same team.
yeah,
All the angels are on the same team, and the mission is the same, to
right,
uplift and
right,
love unconditionally. So if that particular part of the job is needed at that particular moment, anybody can step
right,
in and do
right.
it, right?
It's
Yeah.
and it's always bottom line. It's always about the love.
Yes.
Always.
I love that. I totally love
Yeah.
that.
That vibration.
Yes.
It will change your world. You watch.
Yes, absolutely. And it has, and it always does, when I allow myself to be in unconditional love.
Yeah.
um it makes such a difference. I will say, for me personally, that's been a big part of my life, and my awareness is recognizing, oh my God, you're look at how compassionate you are, right? When I'm looking at myself dealing with a situation and not judging
Right.
anything about it, I'm like, wow, you're looking at that completely through your heart and with unconditional love, and that
Indeed.
it feels so good. It's and that helps me make that choice the next time, right? When it comes to free will, and okay, I can choose now. Do I go with love or do I not?
Yeah.
I'll be
Yes.
more likely to go with love as I recognize, the
Right.
feeling that
Right.
is associated.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Always.
right.
Always
Nobody.
err
I'm not.
on the
I'm
side
not
of
perfect.
love, right?
I'm still human. As long as I can feel myself in three dimensions, I'm
Yes.
I'm still
Yes.
human. Uh, Excellent.
Yes.
Oh my God, excellent.
Yes.
Um, I'm just kind of scrolling through my chat to see if we have any other questions. I've never heard of this term, rainbow angels. Are rainbow and unemployed angels real? I'm not
No,
sure what
there's
that is.
really no such thing as an unemployed angel.
Hmm.
Mm,
Hmm. Hmm.
Every angel has purpose,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Just like every soul has purpose and a path.
Hmm. Hmm.
Every angel has a soul. So, you know, rainbow angels. We have heard this terminology. Someone has coined that phrase. And we are not certain what the human definition of a rainbow angel is. Is it just an angel that has rainbow colors, or is it an angel that is connected to uh, babies that have died and they are actively in alignment with helping those souls to relocate? So we're not quite certain of the question. Would the individual like to clarify?
Okay, yeah. So Bernadette actually says, she says, rainbow angels are working with me. They've guided me. So she's connected to these rainbow angels. So maybe Bernadette, maybe you can help us understand where the term comes in, what aspect of the angelic realm and that energy
Yes.
it's describing. Brian is saying we're all energy and connected. To me, this is the most basic bottom line philosophy of my existence, that has just kind of, again, it's just been this feeling of knowing, right, that this is what it is. And it's very interesting as a three-dimensional being to understand that statement even and resonate with it, right? Because I think part of the 3D experience is this illusion of separation, right? The illusion that right now I'm Michael talking to Wendy who's channeling Metatron, when it's all really one
Mhm.
thing, right? It's all really
Yeah.
one energy.
There's not really any consciousness that's more special than another.
Mhm.
And we kind of go back, Bernadette, to that place where uh, the angels will present themselves to you in a way that you will receive them the most deeply. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
rainbow it is, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So Bernadette says she had a reading and she was told that they were working with me. Angelic beings are always there. And I was going to follow up with that with exactly what she said. I was going to say, well, what does that feel like to you, Bernadette, rather than just somebody told me that they're working with me and that they're there? What does that feel like? And she says, I feel more than I can express in human words. So there is a validation there that
Yes.
Bernadette is feeling this energetically, and again, we don't necessarily as humans understand sometimes what that energy is, but it is guiding energy. It is pushing you towards certain feelings or certain decisions, or maybe it's pushing you towards certain people, groups of people who are supposed to be in your life to influence you and help you
Yes.
understand. Um, I
We
love it.
we like inspiring or leading as opposed to pushing. Mm.
I love that. Yes. And then Vivian says, "Angel energy is like gravity. We can't see it, but it's always there supporting us."
Yeah.
That's a nice sentiment. And we've got Halifax, Yorkshire, chiming in. Hello, Samantha. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Bernadette says it felt absolutely like oneness and love. A lot I felt before I was in a human body. That's awesome. I love that. And I
Beautiful.
also love Metatron. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but some of the people that I speak to and some of the experiences that I'm sharing and really enjoying are near death experiences where people are able to experience being outside of the 3D realm through that,
Mhm.
um, and
Mhm.
and and coming back with some very similar ideas about the feelings and unconditional love what it felt like to be there.
Well, you
Um,
know that is uh, one of our things, right? Is working with the the walk-ins, and
Mhm.
many of those that have near-death experience have a soul exchange and
Mhm.
come back as a shiny new being. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Very inspiring,
Mhm.
Samantha says. And Tammy has a question. And again, I don't know, Metatron, what your connection is to kind of like spiritual messages of loved ones and things like that. But the question is really, I've asked for my mother who has passed to connect with me, but I haven't had that. It hasn't happened. Do I keep asking is the question. And again, I feel like I
Yes.
know these answers, but I
Yeah.
want I
Yeah.
want people to be able to channel their energy through you and get the knowledge.
Yes. Yes, please keep asking. And we're going to shift the word asking, and we're going to insert assume.
Mm,
Assume that your mother is there.
mhm, mhm,
Assume that as soon as you think of her, she's in your space, whether you're feeling her or not, whether you're having conversation with her or not. And we would say that there's lots going on in the dream state for you, but also every now and then you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're kind of disregarding that. So, begin to just assume that your mom's there and that you have full access, even if she is not in physical form. It would
mhm,
be like channeling Metatron,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
There is always the vibration there. And sometimes grief and pain mm, kind of cuts you off in a way,
mhm,
but
mhm,
there will come that time where it will be absolutely clear that she is there.
mhm,
Go ahead and ask her for signs,
mhm,
symbols, whatever, something that the two of you shared together, and just keep inviting her and assume that she's with you at all times.
mhm, mhm. I love that. I love that. And I saw a question here that was interesting. So forgive me, Metatron, if I know some of these questions are, again, maybe the Sacred Spiral Network has a lot of psychic mediums, but I know that it's all coming from the same realm, right? And the question is, I'm not sure if this was asked. I've heard everyone is assigned an angel at birth. What is the difference between an archangel and an angel assigned to one at birth?
Well, many have archangels that are their guides. Every single soul comes in with a team of angelic beings,
Mhm,
of ascended masters, of galactic beings. And this team works with you throughout your life, most of it in the background. They help you to make big decisions, they help to keep you safe. There's so much information that you're receiving all the time that you don't think about it being from your team, from your guidance, because it's just normal every day,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So there are, you know, all of those things. And uh, and we would say that we don't think of it as assigned. We think of it as soul contracts,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
right? With all of the beings that are around you, that work with you, that love you and support you,
mhm,
there is soul contract.
mhm,
And guidance holds half of that soul contract, and
mhm,
you hold the other half
mhm,
of that
mhm.
soul contract.
Interesting. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it is fascinating, right?
yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. So that's that is Metatron's perspective, right?
Okay, okay. I like that. I definitely like that. Um, I man, so many people are chiming in now, asking questions. I see one or two that I'm gonna push to the side for now. But I do like this question. Jody Jenkins asks, "What does it mean to be in third person at the same time as first person, outside of perception, whilst your first person perception is also aware?" I had it since I was little. I always knew there was something bigger.
Mhm.
That's a good question. I like that one.
Yeah, that is a very multi-layered question.
Yeah.
So, you know, who watches through your eyes? That's the big question, right? There's the you that is having the experience in 3D, and then there's the you, that internal you that is watching the whole thing through your own eyes.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that is the best way that we know how to describe it. You are multidimensional. There are many uh, aspects of your soul throughout the cosmos being housed in different bodies, right? Even upon this planet.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, it's not just, one body for one soul all the time, right?
Right.
You're having different experiences in different dimensions and different places.
Hmm.
And so uh, it all it all comes together cohesively. And
Hmm.
we hear the question, why aren't we aware of the fact that we are having all of those, lifetimes and experiences? And some people do.
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and it is rather disconcerting, and many of them have challenges mentally,
Hmm.
because it's overwhelming, right, to
Sure.
know that you're
Sure.
here and that you're there and you're there and you're
I can
there.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of a veil that is put in place to protect you
Sure.
upon your transformation back to source, right? All of that comes together and is revealed. You get to see the
Right.
bigger picture.
Right. Right. I think for me, that's the biggest. My biggest thing is existing as a 3D being, knowing that there's other aspects of me that
Mhm.
I do have access to, but like,
Mhm.
so it's so fascinating. I
Yeah,
love
it
thinking
is
about
fascinating, and there's no reason why you cannot have conversations with your soul and ask your soul to show you or introduce you to another part of yourself, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Another soul aspect.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
possible.
Absolutely. So one of the things that's interesting to me, um, about the quantum physics stuff that I've been hearing and reading is that whole idea of kind of what you were just talking about, right? Is that there is nothing, or there's everything, there's infinite possibilities until you put an observer into that equation. And then when you put an observer into the equation, then it becomes something. um, and so for me, I believe that consciousness is information itself,
Mhm.
and that's what the substrate of the universe is, information, and that information um, gets processed through a being like a 3D, or like a human, or a spirit. That information, it exists on in all of those different forms, and
Yes.
can be expressed in all of those different ways. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, I can imagine that as a human being, if I was experiencing it in other ways, in other dimensions, it would be very disconcerting, and I might just explode.
Yes.
uh, I don't know how I would
Well,
handle.
some of the yogis, some of the holy men and women throughout the ages have been entrained how to do that,
Mhm.
and it's done in a very specific way so that they don't, you know, uh, have a breakdown, right? So
Right, right, totally.
it's
So
deep
so
mystery work.
yeah, yeah. So I want to be respectful of your time, and so I want to maybe start wrapping it up. But I do want to hopefully bring through a message that Metatron you might have for humanity in this moment. And you know what? I'm not necessarily asking like, oh my God, what can we do, right? But I'm almost asking you for advice on how people can um, process it easier for themselves, right? Like, I don't think we need to do anything. I think we need to get through it and
Yeah.
experience it.
Well, part
Um,
of it is experiencing it, right? But we would say to you, within yourself, nurture hope.
mhm,
Nurture hope,
mhm,
right? Hope opens the door to infinite possibility.
mhm.
Hope holds a vibration that makes change possible, right?
I love that so much.
Hope reminds you that nothing remains the same, that it will always change.
Mhm.
And think about the idea that the best is yet to come.
I love
What
that.
if, right? What if that hope? What if the best is yet to come?
I love that. Oh, that I think that right there is the best wrap up that I've had on either one of my shows.
Hmm.
Asking for advice and a message is what you just said. Thank you so much
You're so welcome.
for blessing me with your presence tonight. Um, and I hope to see you again soon. I really do.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Michael, and all that have been with us. Our blessings to each and every one of you. Yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and
Namaste.
let's call Wendy back. Namaste. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Uh,
Ah,
oh, how you feeling?
I'm good. It's this past 6 months, the energy's been seeding differently. And so when he leaves, he's like out of there like a shot. And it's triggered by that yawn. And so it's like, I'm always like over here trying not to show
Oh,
my tonsils to everybody in front of me. And then my eyes twitch. So
oh wow.
it's so attractive when he leaves the body.
Uh, you know what? That was amazing, Wendy.
Thank you.
I cannot thank you enough for your gifts and for bringing Metatron through. I feel like you really connected. Metatron really connected with my audience. A lot of people got a lot of hope, which that final message was. Courtney says, "Amazing transmission." Yeah, I feel really good about this, Wendy. I
Thank you.
really appreciate everything that happened
Thank
tonight,
you. And
and
I'm
that you
just excited I got to be with you tonight. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We should definitely we will be talking to each other much more frequently. You're always on my mind, and as you were saying before we started, you've been kind of watching what's going on with
I've
me.
been I've been
Oh,
stalking you. Yeah.
I'm watching you too. I'm watching you too,
You and
and
Janice.
yeah, and it's amazing to be in a community, and you know what, and actually know that no matter what me and Janice are doing, that you're there in support
Mm,
and in love, and you and all of you, all of this community, you guys are
thank
so great. I hope you guys realize that, everybody in the audience that's here. I
you.
love when I see you guys interacting with each other in the chat, patting each other on the back. I love when you're interacting with my guests and pulling out this amazing wisdom and this energy, that is just a validation of what Courtney says right here: oneness. Right?
Yes,
We are all in this
absolutely.
together, and
Yes.
and and this is a great attestment to it. So thank you, Wendy, for being
Thank you.
here. Thank you, everybody else, for being here. I'm just going to sign off the show. I usually put my guests in the green room. I'm just going to sign off. I'm going to say, Wendy, don't go away. Let me run my credits, and we'll talk uh, after this. But thank you guys for being here,
Thank you.
on Thursday, on the live stream of Consciousness. I have Adriana Garay, who is an amazing uh, psychic medium intuitive, who I actually had a session with today to help introduce me, like, formally, to my guides, because I've been struggling kind of like knowing who they are and meeting them and interacting with them on a name basis. And so I got some names and I got some good information today. So I'll be talking to her on Thursday. So join me, guys, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.
Bye.